off to the races. Good evening, Johnny Ryan.
Hey.
How was your day today?
It's okay.
That's good. That's good. So yeah, first of all, I'd like to apologize for not to you, but to all of our listeners. To our one listener, my mom. For the last episode where we didn't really talk very much about movies, I just talked to myself a little bit about the 1991 film Prince of Tides. But this week, we're going to talk about some real heavy hitters, and also I should make a note that we're on Spotify now. So you can now...
Exciting.
So Mom, you can go to Spotify now. Anyways,
how easy was it to get it on Spotify? You just put it up there?
Yeah, I had to upload it, one episode at a time. But luckily I didn't have to convert it to audio. I just had to it would accept the videos, so I didn't have to change. I didn't have to do any kind of reformatting. It's just a matter of uploading them. But, the whole point of this Public Figures podcast endeavor is just that it's supposed to be super low effort, and we're getting to the point right now where I'm not really willing to put that much more effort into this fucking thing. Where I'm at the maximum. So, if I have to do anything, if I find out that that's wrong, or if I have to do anything else beyond that, or if I have to create some sort of new account, then it's not going to happen.
You're not going to make any Public Figures merch?
No, definitely not. That's not something we can guarantee that that'll never happen.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, sorry about that, Mom. Don't worry, I'll just make one with a magic marker and a Hanes t-shirt. Okay, so I'm going to let you kind of lead on
me
on this one because you've seen all these movies more recently than me. And just to kind of outline it, what do we have to talk about? We have to talk about Betrayed. We have to talk about Rape Squad, and we have to talk about Her Vengeance. Those are the films that we need to discuss today. So, which one do you want to start with?
I want to start with Betrayed.
Perfect. That sounds great. This is probably the most definitely the most high budget of all of them. Also, probably the most well, I wouldn't say it's well known, but definitely out of those ones, it's probably the most well known. Has the biggest stars. But go ahead. What do you have to say about Betrayed, starring Tom Berenger and some lady, Debbie something?
It's not Debbie. It's
Deborah. No.
It's the lady from Officer and a Gentleman. What's her name? Deborah Winger.
Yeah, that's Debbie. Debbie. I call her Debbie. Deborah Winger.
Oh, okay.
Tom Berenger. You got
Ms. Winger.
You're right. We got John Hurd from fucking Home Alone.
She's married to Kip Winger, by the way.
Well, thank God you mentioned that. John Mahoney, the dad from Frasier. Ted Levine.
Silence of the Lambs. Isn't Ted Levine from Silence of the Lambs? Yep.
Ted Levine's in there. I just said it. All sorts of character actors. Character actors abound.
And what's the name of the racist little girl?
I don't know that she was. I think that she pretty much
the star of the film.
Right. I think that she pretty much destroyed her career with that little racist tirade.
So? No, you're going to be it'll be like the Bo Pear kid. You're going to be reading about her working at the post office,
right? Right. If you're going to be going on such an N-bomb tirade like that, you already have to have a pretty established career. A good example is what's the guy's name from Fargo?
William H. Macy?
Right, William H. Macy in Edmund. He drops.
Well, it depends. If you're reciting dialogue from David Mamet,
right,
that's okay. But the guy who wrote Betrayed isn't David Mamet. That's the problem.
Right, exactly. Oh, David Mamet, the pinnacle of American theater.
And racism.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you motherfucking cocksucker! Oh, this is wonderful art, wonderful American. This is the jazz of theater. You gotta have balls.
Racism.
You gotta have balls this big. You gotta have balls as big as a. I guess I have to cut that part out.
Yeah, just bleep that country.
Anyways, so go on and tell us a little bit about Betrayed.
So, I mean, should I just talk about like what it's about? It's like these, the FBI is investigating some underground racist group in the Midwest.
What kicks it all off?
It's actually like, I think it's based on a real event, where some Midwestern, DJ talk show host, radio talk show host, is murdered, and that was like something I think that really happened. Like some kind of like liberal radio talk show host was murdered in the United States, and I think it was supposedly done by maybe some white supremacist organization.
Right. Okay. So what I mean is like not what incited the making of the film, but like what incites the within the film, what incites the FBI investigation.
So this sort of real event is dramatized in the movie, and that's sort of the thing that kicks off the whole investigation, where they send an undercover agent to infiltrate the organization and
who would you compare? Who would you compare Tom Berenger and his little group like in the if you're going to compare it to sort of real world events? Who do you think it would be a good analogy or a good analog for Tom Berenger and his posse?
I don't know. I guess it's sort of like that kind of. It's like a combination of probably like the January 6th type people and who else am I thinking of?
I think like Timothy McVeigh, like or the.
That's what I'm trying to remember his name. Timothy McVeigh guys, the sort of secret underground militia. So yeah, that type of organization.
Oh, I was just talking with my friend the other day, and he was telling me that he was telling me that every week he has sex like around 4 times, and then every day he probably gets in like around like 1 or 2 workouts, and then every month he manages to read 2 books at least, and this guy still complains about being in prison. Yeah. Anyways, let's keep going about.
I like I especially like the pause for laughter.
Well, yeah. I mean, I go to all that trouble of fucking saying that stupid joke.
Okay. So what are we talking about?
Tom Berenger and his posse kind of are in this movie Betrayed.
But sort of so that was sort of the jumping point, and then you are introduced to Deborah Winger, who initially just seems to be a run-of-the-mill, she runs like a threshing machine or something.
Yep.
And
she's a farmer.
Just a typical, well, she's not like a farmer in the sense, she's like the type of farmer who she's like travels around working these threshing machines. She doesn't have her own farm or piece of property.
Okay.
Like she moves around, or that's what she's pretending to be. She's actually an FBI agent who's trying to infiltrate this white
supremacist group.
Gang. Yeah. So she meets Tom Berenger, and he's just the most wonderful guy you've ever met. So, and it's kind of funny that she's just a really awful FBI agent. Like she's
You're
just
right.
the worst FBI agent. She's just like she's placed. She seems to be placed in this position of trying to infiltrate the white supremacy group. I'm not even really sure why. She immediately is just sort of like completely does not believe that there's anything going on. She doesn't have even a shred of suspicion that these people are up to anything, particularly Tom Berenger. He's just the most wonderful man. You guys are barking up the wrong tree.
Yep.
Which doesn't feel very FBI agenty. Like she's totally just like she seems to be in love with him for the first time that she sees him, and she's just completely swept up in his good old boy, he's handsome, Clint Black. Yeah, he's got two adorable children.
Two adorable little toe-headed children. He loves his mama. The first time that he invites her over, it's to meet his mama. It's not even like let's go out, to a restaurant or let's whatever. It's like you got to come here and meet my mama. Like that. It's showing like just an extreme amount of a forthright predisposition, and let me tell you something.
Which then even plays even further in the second date. I mean, maybe it's not technically the second date. It's just like it doesn't seem like they're going out for very long when he takes her hunting.
Oh, right, and they hunt, and he takes her to hunt her first black man.
And that sequence was pretty ridiculous because well, first of all, let me just go back because I wasn't finished talking about Deborah Winger as.
Oh, please take your time.
The worst FBI agent. So not only does she sort of have zero, she doesn't seem to have any, even the slightest suspicion that these people are up to something. She's just kind of closed off to there's nothing going on here. There's absolutely nothing going on here. And she also doesn't really seem to have any kind of experience in doing this job, going undercover. She seems
Right.
very young and she doesn't seem to have any experience with
profiling people like this, or
profiling people, specifically working with these sort of people, like her. She doesn't seem to be educated in the world of white supremacy. She just seems to be. It's almost like her. She's got an ex-lover who is her boss in the FBI, and he seems to just be giving her this job just to torture her.
Right.
Her whole purpose of doing this is just some kind of revenge from the Home Alone dad.
Right.
What's his name? I can't remember.
Hurd, John Hurd.
John Hurd.
Yeah.
John Hurd is her boss.
Yeah. I should say that it really would make a lot more sense if Tom Berenger didn't have to kind of convert her to white supremacy, from the perspective of her being an undercover FBI agent, because she's not down with any of his politics from the get-go. She's just kind of why are you doing that? Why are you doing this?
She doesn't even do any kind of fishing, just kind of when she's hanging around and shooting the breeze, and just to say something those Jews, just something just to test the waters to see if he would bite and be yeah, I hate them too, but she does nothing. So going forward, there's absolutely no sign that this guy's up to anything, and then just out of the blue one day he's just please come hunting with me, and she's just no, I'm not into it. Come on, please come hunting with me. Okay. And so the hunting is at night. He takes her out hunting, and she's oh, it must be hard to hunt deer at night. And he's sort of oh, you'll see. And then we
meet all of his friends.
Right. Which is the dad from Frasier, the killer from Silence of the Lambs, and a couple other people. And it's sort of revealed that we captured a black guy and we're going to let him loose in the woods and we're going to hunt him down. Mm-hmm. And she's completely just totally shocked. That sequence just seemed very strange because it was just like it was so out of left field. The fact that he, like, for Tom Berenger, it was almost just like this way, like he was so desperate to share this part of his life with another person, like without even like he wasn't fishing either. Like there was no point with him where he's kind of like testing the waters and being like, so what do you think of these? What do you think of these black people? Huh? Aren't they?
Yeah.
Don't you hate them? Like there's nothing. There's like no sign of anything, and it's just like out of the blue. It's sort of like you'd think that like even if you weren't necessarily part of a white supremacy group, but you're dating somebody, you'd think you just kind of like, you know, test the waters a little bit and be like, you know, hey, what do you think of?
Yeah, instead of just taking a leap of faith and inviting her to a hunt of a black man, and just hoping for the best.
Literally, like, oh, you want to come to a lynching?
Yeah. Or not even. Do you want to come to a lynching? But like, hey, do you want to come to a special party with my friends? And then like you surprise them with the fact that it's a lynching. You know,
it's a lynching.
Yeah.
And that was really bizarre. That was like a really bizarre move.
Right.
And also the fact that they're supposedly like a very super secret organization that like that this Tom Berenger is sort of like one of the higher ups on in, that he would just sort of like let his penis rule his mind and allow this woman who doesn't seem to really be all that into. And it's almost like when they're doing the hunt too, like it's almost like he's kind of like, come on, you can do it. Come on, you'll get into it.
Yeah, you'll get used to it.
And you'll get used to it. And just that sort of attitude from the leader of this dangerous secret white supremacy group seemed bizarre.
Yeah, I'd counter by saying, I mean, this is not a very good argument against like him being, kind of irresponsible with his position. But like, I don't think he's really. I think that he's not just doing this, for a piece of ass. I think he's doing this because he is, indeed in love with this woman. And also the way that his, he's involved her with his kids, and the kids love her, and he's like
right.
I guess he's like a widow or maybe like a divorcee or something like that, and he's just, what he is like. I mean, his fatal flaw is that he's just a romantic. He's a hopeless romantic, and he decides that this woman is the one. I mean, who knows like how many fucking just lounge lizards that he bangs in the fucking outhouse. But I'd get the sense that like maybe that's just, it's a weakness of the movie that like maybe the audience doesn't really feel like the connection that they have is all that special. Like honestly, they don't really feel like they have that great chemistry. Like and that is probably I'd say a weakness of the film. They don't have terrible chemistry. It's not like
right.
I've definitely seen like movies where you're like, what? Why are they together? Like, why is she even talking with this guy? But
well, that's also, they don't even have like if you even like removed the white supremacy stuff, their relationship isn't great. He seems to be very jealous and possessive. He's sort of wondering what she's doing, where she's going. He seems fairly aggressive. And also the fact that he's like for so long he's like not even being forthcoming with his political feelings, and she in turn is of course she's an FBI agent, she's keeping that hidden, but she's not even like a good like faker. Like she's not even like good at pretending. She's not even good at pretending to be in the slightest bit interested in what he's doing. Like at any point you would think that like the fact that like all his friends around him are really, especially Silence of the Lambs,
Yeah.
is like is very suspicious of this lady.
Yeah.
And because she's just like she's just not, she's clearly not into it, and she kind of has to keep like proving herself by killing somebody, or like nobody's buying her act except for Tom Berenger.
Right. Yeah. I'd say that like a lot of the suspicion. Like, I mean, he was never. It's not ever framed like he's suspicious that she's cheating on him or anything. It's all of the suspicion has to do entirely with, are you talking with the cops, or did you tell someone about me, or whatever. Like all of that.
Right.
All of that stuff really is. So like all of that kind of shit is entirely, having to do with the fact that he's like in a weird Timothy McVeigh gang. But we need to kind of jump forward. Eventually, they end up going to like rob a bank so that they can build a war chest for some kind of like large terrorist attack.
Right.
Pretty cool bank. Like it's pretty cool how I like this movie because it has a lot of like sort of parts and like sort of memorable kind of just sequences, and like the bank robbery towards the end is like it's not even the final thing, like we still have kind of like the botched assassination attempt towards the end.
The bank robbery is definitely more interesting than the actual conclusion of the film.
Sure. No, absolutely. But I'm just saying that, like, because we also have like kind of we have like the kind of the camp out part, where they, like, it's not like an action scene, but it's a scene where like all the white supremacists get together and like show each other their guns and stuff. And like, I think
they're like buying, I think they're having like a gun exchange, or like they're buying guns. Some like military trucks pull up and they're selling them guns.
Right. And then that politician shows up and he's like, yeah, you know what? I don't like the Jews and the blacks either. And then Tom Berenger's like, you're all a bunch of talk. We heard a bunch of you silver-tongued devils, but I'm a doer. And then everyone's like, yeah, Tom Berenger's way better than that guy. And he kind of shows sort of his potential to be a better leader than the fucking pencil neck pieces of shit that are actually.
I was slightly confused. Well, maybe I wasn't confused, but I feel like that, because at the end, that racist politician is the target of the assassination that Tom Berenger's planning.
Really? I didn't remember that.
And like when he's up in the building, he's going to shoot somebody. He's going to shoot that guy.
Huh. Okay.
And so, because he's clearly a racist. Maybe he's not as great a racist as Tom Berenger. Like maybe his racism isn't as high quality as Tom Berenger's, but he's still like a pretty bad racist. So you get this. So the fact that Tom Berenger is going to shoot him, you're kind of like, well, so what? Like if he was actually going to kill somebody who, like a real good person, that was like a worthwhile person, you'd be like, oh no, you got to stop him.
Yeah.
But you kind of don't really care. like if he kills him or he doesn't kill him, it's just like, who cares?
Yeah, you're right. The outcome of the assassination is completely secondary to what's going on with Deborah Winger and Tom Berenger up in that sort of empty building or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, just about that racist politician guy. I think Tom Berenger's his problem with that dude is just that he thinks that he's like faking being racist for these, just to get the vote for these racist
he's a poser.
people. Yeah, he's a poser. He's not really down to do all the stuff that he's talking about, all the stuff that he's promising, which is funny because it's like usually in real life it's usually real racists pretending to be like not racist, but in this case it's the reverse. So anyways, so it all culminates into sort of this moment of like, you didn't love me, and it's like, well, I kind of did, to be honest. I think I did, and then eventually Tom Berenger is killed, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyways, yeah, so that's what happens, and let's talk less about the plot and talk more about our impressions of the film.
Well, I definitely get the sense that like whoever made this film thought like they were making like a really important movie. Like you could tell like we got Deborah Winger, we got Tom Berenger. This is fucking big. This movie's got an important message about the underground white supremacy movement in America.
Do you know who wrote this movie?
No.
It was Joe Esterhaas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it seems pretty much,
it's weird that there was no
on brand
nudity in it.
Yeah, it is weird. Directed by someone named Costa Gavras, some Greek fella. I'm looking at his filmography. Don't really recognize any of them. I don't know any of these movies. Mad City, The Axe, The Colonel, Missing, Family Business. Any of these ringing a bell?
Is that Missing with Jack Lemmon?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I saw that when I was a kid, I guess.
Okay. Well, anyways, yeah, I think Joe Esterhaas is the real kind of notable creator in this film. We know him from Showgirls and shit. Go on, sorry.
Didn't he write Basic Instinct too?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so you get the sense that whoever's making this thinks like this is like a very important movie, and it's also 2 hours long.
Yeah,
and it feels like it should probably be like about 90 minutes at the most. Like it didn't need to be 2 hours. So the fact that it's 2 hours also makes you feel like whoever made this thinks that this is great. And then at the end, yeah, she kills the Tom Berenger, and she seems to have some kind of emotional breakdown. I think she kind of semi leaves the FBI, and then she goes back to Tom Berenger's house because she has some sort of attachment to those kids, and so nobody's in the house, and then I guess everybody's over at the church, and she goes over to the church, and then everybody's coming out of the church, and they're all staring at her like, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
And then the little girl, Tom Berenger's little girl, like runs up to her, and she's like, oh.
Yeah.
Can't remember what her name is in the movie, but she's like, oh, that's good. And then like they hug, and she tells her something like, oh, hang in there or something.
No, what the little girl says is like, she's like, I don't think what you did was bad. And then she like turns her attention to everybody who's like, who's mad dogging her. And the little girl goes, this is America. She can say whatever she wants. That's the whole point of America, And like the little girl, it's kind of like, truth from the mouth of babes kind of shit,
right.
Where everyone's kind of like, yeah, you know what? She is right. All right, well, she's cool. We accept her. It doesn't really go that far, but
they don't accept her.
Not at all. But that's sort of the idea with what this little girl is saying. I don't know. I think that this movie is first of all, I like this movie mostly just because of John Berenger's performance in this film.
Tom Berenger.
What did I say?
John.
So Tom Berenger's performance in this movie, I think, is very, very charismatic, but also like he can be kind of like scary, like at times too. Like and I don't know. I feel like this. It kind of his performance is why like I feel like you buy her getting swept up like in his shit, sort of against all better judgment, because like I'm finding myself getting swept up in fucking Tom Berenger's fucking blue eyes, to be honest, like I find him to be like pretty like charismatic, and I like him too, and even the thing that I said before, like the first date,
and I agree with
at
him.
his mom's
I agree
house.
With him.
And another thing too is that I 100% agree with his politics.
When he would say that stuff, I would start to sweat, and I'd be oh my God, I'm falling in love.
I'm falling in love with Tom Berenger on my TV in my living room.
Yeah, I mean it was fine. I feel like Tom Berenger is better in like Platoon And I think he was even better in Looking for Mr. Goodbar. That might be my favorite Tom Berenger.
Yeah. Yep. You ever see the sort of like the good platoon, which is oh gosh, what's it called? Casualties of War.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
You don't like that one? I think that's so much better than Platoon. And I like
Michael J. Fox is such a pussy.
Yeah.
Like it's just so grating. Like it's just like this is either he's just the wrong guy for this role or something. But I just have this memory of just like he's such a whiny, ineffectual, worthless pussy, complaining pussy, like constantly.
Yeah. So you side with Sean Penn? Like you're kind of on his side?
I don't know if I'm on anybody's side. It just wasn't. It wasn't great. Like I still feel Platoon was because you're getting almost that same story in Platoon, but it's like it's just 5 minutes within the movie. They have like that same scenario, and I feel like it's better and it's better handled.
No, I don't agree at all. I think that Casualties of War is a superior Vietnam movie to Platoon. Platoon is the American like the Hollywood American Vietnam movie where it's just kind of like there's a little bit of guilt, but mostly it's just an action movie, Whereas Casualty of War is more just like this.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
I don't know.
There's a lot of action in Vietnam.
That's true. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it kind of was, but yeah, just like if you want to watch lots of whining and crying and Michael J. Fox weeping and shivering and complaining, then yeah, you'll love Casualties of War.
That's what I'm looking for in a motion picture. You should go to Vietnam. I suggested this to you before. I think you'd like Ho Chi Minh. I think you would enjoy.
Is he still there?
Oh, with the guy?
Yeah.
No, he's not still there. Just the city has his name. I think they call it
Saigon.
You've
been there. You've been there before?
Of course, I live in Asia. Like I've been to all these places.
Well, I don't know. Like I live in America. I've never been to the Panhandle in Oklahoma.
Why not? Well, I guess it is kind of like
been busy, I guess. Yeah, I mean, if somebody wants to invite me to Vietnam Comic-Con, yeah, let me know. I'll go.
Well, you should next time you get invited to Japan, take a little detour and check out Southeast Asia. Anyways, okay, so yeah, Betrayed, whatever. I think it's a cool, entertaining movie. I think also like it's sort of like atypical. There's not really a lot of movies that are about that kind of thing, I mean there are like undercover movies, but like the sort of this white supremacist movie with this sort of romance kind of thing going on. I don't know. Like, is there anything else like that?
It's also like it's probably like you could tell like there's a little Silence of the Lambs kind of influence going on here with like the young female agent being in the middle of like this really serious dangerous situation. But yeah, when you compare the Jodie Foster agent with the Deborah Winger agent, it's just like Deborah Winger's just terrible. Like everything that Jodie Foster's doing seems like this seems real. Like she seems like she's a real agent. She's like real sort of serious about doing it. And Deborah Winger just seems like, she just seems so. It just like you're watching and you're just kind of like, oh, so this is why they don't hire female agents, because look what happens. Like they fall in love with with the criminal that they're trying to capture, and they get. I'm saying this feels like this is what the message of the movie is. It doesn't. I'm not saying that's what I think.
This is what Johnny thinks.
this is Joe Esterhaus. Joe Esterhaus thinks that like because she's like completely ineffectual and weak and complaining all the time, and she always wants to quit, and she gets she gets so easily romanced by the villain.
Right.
Like it's sort of like, okay, this is why you don't want to have a woman in that position.
Oh my goodness gracious! So, the thing too is that, like Jodie. Well, just to sort of reiterate, like Jodie Foster definitely does seem competent, and like she's there's never a point in time where she's not like at work, whereas like Deborah Winger is just like, she doesn't even seem like she's at work. She just seems like she's like on some kind of like, she's participating in some kind of like dating service or something, and she's just,
well, it kind of, like I said, it feels like her boss John Hurd is literally just thrusting her into this situation as some kind of like revenge for their relationship, which has gone bad. So it's just like, and he keeps sort of like, even every time she's sort of like, I don't want to do this anymore, he's like, no, you have to do it. You got to do it. You got to. Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he's like, it's national security is at risk here,
And she's constantly getting caught, and everybody in the whole group knows that she's a fucking agent, except for Tom Berenger. It's just like she's terrible.
Right. Okay. So, Betrayed. Do you want to give it your eggplant rating?
I give it 5 eggplants. No, I'm just kidding. I give it. I don't know. It was entertaining. Like, it kept me engaged for most of it. I mean, it was probably a little too long, but I don't know. I'd give it like 2.5 eggplants, I suppose.
I'm giving it 3.5. I like this movie.
Okay.
But
you're making me feel betrayed.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Largely, it has to do with just the performances and stuff. I like Tom Berenger. I think I like Tom Berenger. Despite what you've told me about how you like him more as like a psycho villain, I like him the most in this movie. Like, I find that he's shows a lot of range and ability as an actor. But and it sucks that he never really was taken terribly seriously as an actor. He's always just gotten to play like a bad guy.
I feel like there must have been something, like it feels like there's probably some movie that he did that just kind of like, not ruined him, but because after Platoon was huge. Like, Platoon was like, everybody who was in Platoon suddenly was elevated to like, this is like, everybody in here is like worthwhile. Like, these are all great actors in this movie. And he was particularly, he and Willem Dafoe were like, the good captain, bad captain duo. And yeah, both of those guys, everybody's career was elevated from that film. And then Tom Berenger must have done something after Platoon that maybe ruined that, but I don't know what it is.
He just never really got any kind of major roles in any like big movies. He got a lot of small roles in big movies, but anything that he got where he was the lead was always like something that kind of was a botched fucking franchise, like Sniper, like the Sniper series. He banked on that. Kind of like, who I really like
Substitute.
is the Substitute was only with him, and then it was Treat Williams.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, he started it, and then he didn't come back for the rest of the series. They had to replace him with Treat Williams.
Right, but Sniper 2 is still Berenger.
Okay.
At least those two. I think Berenger stuck with the Sniper series, at least for a couple of them. But it reminds me a lot of that guy, Michael Jai White, that black guy who's like a karate guy.
Yeah.
Like, he is such a great martial artist, and he would have been such a great like action star, but like everything that he did was always just a misstep. Like, and it was supposed to be Spawn that kind of pushed him through, but that was such a disappointment and just such a stupid, silly movie, and also kind of like made for children, and it was just the worst possible move that he could have made, and then after that he's already kind of like getting on, like he's getting close to 40, and it's like, oh, fuck, like my career as like a martial arts star is kind of slipping through my fingers. He did a movie called Blood and Bone. You ever see this one? Where he plays like it's not a very good movie, but he plays kind of like a fucking a guy who gets out of prison, but he's like he has like some sort of military past, and he's like a really good fighter, and he ends up getting involved in like street, like whatever, bare knuckle kind of like street fighting, like illegal street fighting. The movie stinks, but there's a scene in the beginning where he's in prison and he gets into a fight with a sort of a group of guys who want to fuck him or something, and they're led by Kimbo Slice, the late great Kimbo Slice. And there's just this really, really cool, very brief but like very cool fight where he just like kicks a bunch of dudes' asses, and you really kind of get a glimpse of the kind of movies that he could have been making if he just had made better decisions, or if his agents had made better decisions for him, or if he had just kind of found himself working with better directors or whatever. But it's a shame, And then we see him in. I don't know. Like we see him in like Dragged Across Concrete, already kind of in his 50s, not really being able to access any of that action hero stuff anymore, But he's not, and he doesn't have a huge role, but I'd say he's in that movie. He's not amazing, but he's definitely competent. But that's all you really have left, if you're Michael Jai White at this point, is just sort of playing like a big black guy, who maybe may or may not be able to do some sort of martial arts stuff. But anyways, yeah, that's the shame about just the entertainment business is sometimes shit just kind of goes a certain way and it doesn't come back. Kind of like Tom Berenger. He probably got a what he thought was a good payday for Sniper. This is all speculation. And then as time goes on, it turns out that like he's locked himself into that, and no one takes him seriously because he's doing these sort of what do you call it? Like sort of Kmart brand fucking versions of Rambo, the Sniper series. It's like, oh, that's who you are.
Have you watched the Sniper series?
I saw Sniper 1 like a long time ago. I don't really recall it very clearly. Maybe I'll watch the Sniper series. Anyways, yeah. So fuck. We've been talking for a long time, meandering around Betrayed. Let's get to the good movies now. Well, if I do want to talk about Rape Squad because I enjoyed that movie. It is pretty, but I enjoyed it for like ironic reasons mostly. Whereas Her Vengeance is actually a good movie. It's actually like a movie that I think is no movie is flawless, but this one gets pretty darn close, in terms of just like how wild and crazy it is. Directed by the same guy who directed The Story of Ricky O. There's not there is the wheelchair kung fu guy, but other than that, there's not really a lot of fantasy stuff going on or any kind of like.
It doesn't get that crazy. Like it stays fairly grounded.
Yeah.
But they're great fighting, and the wheelchair dude from the Mr. Vampire series,
right?
Incredible.
Yeah, that part where he like doesn't let go of the guy at the end. He just locks onto him. So the director is Lam Nai Choi. Just so that I can.
Doesn't he have like a English anglicized name?
No, he's always been Lam Nai Choi as far as I've ever seen him. It has the same mechanism, is probably the best way to say it, as I Spit on Your Grave, the 1978 film. So like 10 years before, I guess Lam Nai Choi sees I Spit on Your Grave and he's like, damn, we got to make one of those. Or maybe someone just brought it to him and was like, hey, you know how like rape is really big with Hong Kong people? Well, why don't we take this scenario? Okay, I guess I'll helm this one. We have, and even though I haven't seen it like for a while, it's been like maybe 3 weeks since I saw her Vengeance. But oh yeah, that's right. So it starts out, and she's kind of like an usher at in Hong Kong at like a French can show.
Isn't it like Macau or something? Like, because they're on some kind of like it doesn't look like Hong Kong. Like there's like cobblestone streets, and like it almost looked like vaguely European. And I think they even mentioned like something about being in Macau or something.
Right, then it's in Macau. A place like that, I can see being in Hong Kong or wherever. Chinese people love having a little slice of Europe, or like having like a little Oktoberfest thing going on, and with waiters wearing lederhosen and stuff, and like hey, look, oh wow, blonde-haired waiters, this is so luxurious,
We like that here too. It's called
absolutely.
Hooters. That's
right. I might go to Hooters later today, actually. But anyways, yeah. So she's an usher at this fucking can kind of show, and there's just a bunch of dudes in there, and they're all like, hooting and hollering at these ladies doing like a kickline dance, and then a bunch of real no good nicks come in, and they start causing trouble, and this lady goes in and tells them to be quiet. Then the guys, they open a beer, like they open like a shaken up beer on her, and they're like, hey, get the fuck out of here, you fucking slut, you fucking stupid cunt bitch. And then she ends up kind of like, not backing down and getting kind of like calling security in on them. They get kicked out physically, and they're just like, the one guy looks back, and you hear like the musical sting, like the when he looks back at her, and it's like, oh no, he's marked her. So she's walking home later. They drag her into a cemetery, and they rape her, pretty brutally for like a long time, and they leave her. They just leave her like naked and kind of in shambles in the cemetery. She ends up going to the doctor, and the doctor is like, you have AIDS, and then he's like, you have every venereal disease. So what's going to happen is your hymen is going to start rotting, and it's going to start to smell, and your vaginal fluids, they're going to get all clumpy, and they're also going to start to smell. There's a lot of emphasis given on how bad her pussy's going to smell, and then he starts to like chase her around the fucking doctor's office, and it's almost like the doctor's trying to like rape her at this point. Or,
it was almost like he had like it was almost like he had to sort of like, he couldn't let her go out. He couldn't let her leave with AIDS.
Listen to you like making excuses for the doctor.
It was like he didn't like. Well, he's not going to rape somebody with AIDS. Like that would be.
I don't know. I don't know what his weird bug chasing kinks are.
Like, oh, you have AIDS? Oh boy, I'm going to rape you.
Well, no, maybe he wasn't going to rape her. But maybe he was going to try to like put some sort of weird instruments in her. Like it seemed like he wasn't done with her. He wanted to open her back up again and start poking around.
And she was like freaking the fuck out, and just like was. And he didn't want to let her leave. Like it was hard to tell, like if he wanted to continue with his examination, or if like it definitely didn't come off as like he wanted to have sex with her at all.
I didn't necessarily say have sex with her. I just meant like, continue to do some shit to her that she just wasn't into, like continue the examination. He's chasing her around, and he's grabbing her, and she's pulling away, and he's continuing to go after her, and then he's chasing her around a table, and he just won't fucking back off. Like this guy is relentless trying to get back, trying to get this woman back in his clutches. Eventually she ends up beating him over the head with a microscope, and then escaping into the night.
Because he also tells her, doesn't he tell her something like, oh, the if you want to be cured, or if you want the medicine, it costs like $500,000, or he's also like telling her how much it's going to cost to be cured. And it made me also think that, like, I don't know if whoever wrote this knows what AIDS is.
Yeah.
Like it was just kind of like this kind of generic word for
venereal disease,
some kind of sexual contracted disease.
Yeah, that very well might be a fucking translation error. Just
right.
someone just put in AIDS in there. But it is funny for him to be like, "You have AIDS," you know, like it just like it's a doctor saying that.
Everybody had AIDS fever at that time, so
That's true.
I guess they're just like everybody's just excited to have AIDS be part of the
Doctors
the
used
cinema
to
scene.
doctors used to be really excited when they could finally announce the new designer disease, AIDS. All right, I get to diagnose AIDS today. So anyways, so she ends up, maybe some stuff happens in between. She ends up going to see her blind sister, a very sympathetic character, and also and then through the blind sister, she also gets back in touch with, I guess, her uncle, who's the wheelchair guy.
Well, again, is that like a translation thing? Like,
well, I mean, it's very common. It's very common for people in Chinese to call just people who aren't their relatives uncle and auntie.
well, I've also I was watching another Shaw Brothers movie called The Barefoot Kid, and Maggie Chung keeps calling T. Lung like brother, but then they go on to have like a romantic relationship. So it's sort of like when these Chinese people, when they call each other like brother, they call somebody brother, it doesn't necessarily mean that the person is their brother.
It is very common to, especially like within, well, I mean, this is not really the case here, but like within kind of like an organized crime context, calling people uncle and brother and stuff is very common. But even just when you're trying to get someone's attention, like an older lady's attention in Chinese, you'll say something like big sister, or you'll say something like uncle, uncle for like an older guy. Anyways, enter Uncle Chiang, who is the fucking wheelchair guy who runs this hostess bar, and our main character is given the means to get revenge through him. He kind of like helps her out because I guess he's like, what's his deal? Is he's like some kind of soldier or something, or some kind of like why is he such a fucking badass? Like, why is he so strong and superhuman with his abilities?
He's Asian.
Because he's Asian, but
I don't think they ever make that clear. Like the dad and he were involved in some kind of tough business or something. I'm not really sure. I don't know why he lost his legs.
Yeah. Remember when he's
I don't know why the dad died. I'm not sure.
Right. Remember when he's on the rooftop kind of showing our main character like his moves, and he's like balancing on the edge, and he tips the wheelchair up on one wheel and is like and then he jumps out and does sort of like some breakdancing moves, and that, and it's all very, very like kind of unconvincingly done, like with special effects and like strings and stuff, and it's pretty fucking good stuff, that whole bit. That whole bit. So she finally decides to kind of go ahead and get some of that sweet revenge, and the first revenge that she takes is with that one kind of weird looking ugly guy who
he's the villain from the famous villain from The Killer. Right.
The fucking Chow Yun-fat movie, The Killer.
Yeah.
So motherfucking the killer bad guy comes to he's outside eating like fucking sausages or fish balls or something, and then the girl that she befriends at the bar, our main character befriends at the bar, goes outside and says, hey, come into the bar, we can drink together. So she goes in there, and then the main character sort of pretends that she's going to bang him and starts sort of being like a hostess at the hostess bar. And he takes her to the car, and then she says, you don't even remember that you raped me, huh?
He's actually got a good response. He was like, she's like, oh, you raped me. And he's like, okay, well, why don't you get back at me and rape me? Like he's telling her like, rape, you can rape me back if you want.
Right. She ends up tying his hands behind his back and then cutting off one of his ears with a pair of scissors, which is pretty sick. Although I wish it had been a little more graphic. Still, no complaints at all. Then she ends up choking him, and he dies in this scene, right? Or does he get away?
Oh yeah, no, he does not get away.
Okay, so he's dead. Then I'm not sure if
Because initially the bad guys think that this was because the bad rape crew, they're also kind of like they're up to some kind of criminal. They're like a criminal gang. When they find out that their friend is killed, they're blaming another gang.
Sure.
And so they attack that gang, thinking that these guys did it.
Then after that, they end up finally getting wise to the fact that it's this woman that's looking for revenge, and they end up going to her sister's house. And there's that great scene where they attack the sister, and the sister actually puts up quite a fight, despite being blind. They kind of underestimate her, and does she manage to kill one of them, or at least manage to wound one of them? I can't recall, but I think that she does manage to get in some damage. Maybe she doesn't kill one of them.
She might just sort of fight them off for a bit, but she winds up
jumping off the balcony.
She winds up basically jumping off the balcony and killing herself rather than be further abused by these bad guys.
Right. I just could have sworn that she at least slashes someone, because she grabs some kind of a pair of scissors or a knife off the dresser.
You might be right, but these guys take so much abuse that there's one guy that gets acid thrown in his face.
Oh right. Oh, that's such a great scene. My bad. That happens before they see the girl.
Because that's how they find out that she's doing it. Because
right. He survives.
She lures him oh, you're supposed to get some big inheritance or something. Got to meet me at this restaurant and we could talk about it. And as he's she's oh, fill out these papers. As he's filling out the papers, she throws acid in his face.
Right.
But he kind of survives it and attacks her, and she runs away. And now now they know oh, this is the person that's trying to kill us. Right.
And that actually reminds me, thanks for reminding me of that, because that part reminds me so much of Taxi Hunter, in that the first attempt at revenge goes well. Anthony Wong ends up killing a guy by strangling him in a car. And he's and the audience is kind of oh, okay, so he's just going to kind of go through all these taxi drivers and just be killing them one after another. But then the next one that he goes after fully puts up a fight and manages to kick his ass and leaves him in the street with his ass beat up, And that's kind of what happens in her Vengeance as well, is that the second attempt to hey audience, don't get so comfortable. Look at this. These guys are dangerous, and they're not just gonna fucking get splashed in the face with acid and lay on the ground crying while this woman stabs them. They're gonna be kicking and fighting and screaming
and then literally, and I always this is one of my favorite parts of revenge films, is that the person who's trying to get revenge, they're so determined to get it at any cost that everyone around them gets killed.
Right.
So there's this kind of cute guy at the newspaper that kind of likes her. That same guy that gets acid thrown in his face and survives comes after her, and when he comes after her, he accidentally kills her roommate instead, her roommate and friend, and then she chases after him, and then her male newspaper friend chases after her, and then she finally it seems she kills the acid-faced guy, but then he comes to and kills her friend, her newspaper friend as well. So it's just everybody, and then her blind sister gets killed, and wheelchair guy gets killed. Nobody survives.
Well, hold on, let's back. So then the in the final kind of overture of the film, the big finale. Wheelchair guy and our main character decide that they're going to use the club, the San Francisco club, I believe it's called, as a
Trap.
yeah, as a trap, like as a area to set up this trap. So they do all this like Home Alone sort of style shit where they're setting up wires and like sort of rubber hoses with pieces of like long pieces of like aluminum tubing and stuff like that are sort of like shooting projectile spears around everywhere. And like
My favorite is the beaded curtains with
fish hooks,
like fish hooks and razor blades in it.
Right.
Did you ever see the movie The Isle? ISLE.
No,
Isle.
AISLE.
No, not AI, just ISLE.
No, never.
It's by the Korean director Kim Ki-duk or something. There's some great fishhook action in that if you like fishhook movies.
Oh yeah, I'm a big sucker for fishhook movies.
It's probably some of the greatest fishhook.
Yeah, the only Kim Ki-duk movie I watched is Bad Guy, actually.
Which one is that one?
Bad Guy is the one where the girl, she's on a street with her boyfriend, and then some bad gangster guy comes up and starts like kissing her out of nowhere, and then she slaps him, pushes him away, and is like, I don't know this guy. And then a bunch of sort of soldiers, like just Korean, uncommissioned soldiers, they're like, hey, what are you doing to her? And they go and they beat the hell out of this guy in the street, and then it sort of he takes his revenge out on her, even though he started the whole thing, and he ends up planting a wallet in a store, and then she picks up the wallet, and then the security at the store like catches her with it, and all this bullshit. Anyways, what it ultimately amounts to is her having this huge fine that she has to pay, and then she ends up getting a loan, but then she can't pay back the loan, so she has to be a hooker at this guy's whorehouse. And then while she's there,
I think I've seen that one.
Okay,
it sounds familiar now.
Yeah, it's I guess like me and Timo talked about Kim Ki-duk on one of the first couple episodes, and he mentioned that the interesting thing about his movies is kind of like the completely bizarre sense of morality, like that it's just like normally you would imagine that like there needs to be a certain there's sort of a universal idea of justice, but like in his movies that's kind of all out the window, and people just kind of do what they do, and people can still be happy even though they didn't kind of get the justice that maybe you thought they should get, or something. But I don't know. To be honest, I don't know if it agreed with me, that movie Bad Guy. I just kind of felt like
I don't remember. Like I remember thinking it was okay, but I think I've only seen that one, and I've seen The Isle, and I've seen Mobius, the one that's like there's one where there's like no talking in it.
Right.
And that one's okay, but like my favorite one has been the Isle, and I think that's worth watching.
All right, I'll give it a shot. Yeah. So there's a big, huge like action scene at the end with even more amazing kung fu wheelchair action, and a bunch of like hot oil dumped on these guys.
And one of those bad guys is Billy Wong, who, if you haven't seen Fist of Legend with Jet Li, he plays like the evil Japanese villain in that, and that's got to be like one of the best fights in any film, arguably.
Yeah. Did you ever see that movie called Duel to the Death?
I don't know.
It's another like sort of Japan versus China kind of movie where just like the Japanese come over and they're just kind of, and they're stealing, the whole thing is they're stealing like Shaolin scrolls.
Okay.
And basically what their whole MO is they're taking these ancient scrolls and they're taking what's useful, but then throwing away all the the rest. Like, there's a speech that one of the guy, or a conversation that the two guys have, where it's like, yeah, you know, fucking Shaolin martial arts, like, they're pretty good, and they were good once, but they don't stand a chance against sort of modern Japanese martial arts, which have been refined, and we've taken out all this dancing and bullshit and tradition, and we've just made it into sort of a military art. And then sort of, you know, it's like, well, you know, we still think there's a lot to be said for like this kind of thing, because it's not just about killing, it's also about harmony with, you know, this kind of stuff. And and then they end up getting together their best guys, and they have a duel to the death, you know, and that's one that's been around for a long time. I remember seeing that when I was like in high school still. That's probably one of my favorite.
Remember who's in it?
Michael Jai White's in it as the Japanese man. Norman Choi, Wang Ho, Wilson Tong, Damien Lau. Directed by, who's it directed by? Ching Su Tong. It's his first movie, actually. I don't know who that is, though. This is an older movie. This is like 1982. I don't know. And it's
I think that Norman guy he might be the Bastard Swordsman.
I do see him in Bastard Swordsman. So yeah, the Bastard Swordsman's in it.
Okay, he's cool.
Let me just see what's going on here. And it's a Golden Harvest film, and it is a Hong Kong film. Okay. So as we move forward with Her Vengeance, I mean, like, I ultimately I'm just going to say that, like, what I like the most about this film is what I've already said. That's pretty much encapsulated in that one scene with the acid. Is that, like, you're never really let off the hook, like in the sense that, like, I Spit on Your Grave is kind of, it follows the formula of, like, woman gets raped and then she kills all the guys who raped her or participated in her rape, and it all pretty much goes off without a hitch. But then the final guy, some little hitch happens, but then it's quickly resolved, and then the movie ends with her getting her complete and total revenge. Her Vengeance, every fucking instance of revenge that she's taking is she has to fight tooth and nail for, and it's not it's not easy to do, and that you know is extremely stressful for the audience, and there's tons of casualties along the way. The sister, the newspaper guy, all sorts of like it really, it's a big fucking mess is what it is. You know, the whole situation.
The only ones that seem to go okay is the first one, and when I say okay, I mean, like,
he dies.
He dies and it succeeds.
Yeah.
Even though, like, there's still a little bit of tussling going on. And then the other guy who is filming, like, a porno at some apartment house, she kind of walks in and just stabs him. Jabs like a sharp pipe into his stomach.
Right.
And he gets rid of that guy real quick.
That's true.
The other three guys are a little bit more resourceful.
Okay, so anyways, yeah, so I like that film. Do you have anything else to say about it?
No, nothing.
What's your rating?
I give it 4.5 eggplants.
I think I'm the same on that one. I'm not going to give it a 5 just because, like, there are better things like this out there. So, like, I have to grade it on the curve. It's very good, and it's definitely worth watching. And 4
What is better?
Like,
just for my own edification.
Red to Kill.
That's interesting. Man, that's a tough call.
I think Red to Kill is just a much more stylish movie, and I think that Billy Tang in general is a more stylish director, and it hurts more. Red to Kill hurts more, and for that matter, also the other something kill movie, Run and Kill.
Initially, that's what I thought of when you said that. So I'm actually thinking of both of those films, and they're both great. But there's something about Her Vengeance where more than those two films, like, I really felt for the main character in Her Vengeance, and and following her from like her mission, I felt like it was, I don't know, and maybe just because I've watched that more recently,
Right.
but I felt more connected to her than the characters in Red to Kill or Run and Kill.
Run and Kill and Red to Kill. Yes.
Right.
Yep. Fair enough, man.
And I'm not saying that those two are fucking great films as well. I would also give them each one of those 4.5 eggplants, but something about her Vengeance. Yeah, I don't know.
We should.
I feel more connected to it.
Yeah. There's also. I mean, I probably the more like the more 1-to-1 comparison would be something like Daughter of Darkness. But it's that one's not terribly fresh in my mind. So great. So 4.5 across the board for her Vengeance. The next thing that we have to talk about, if you have time, do you have time?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. Next thing we have to talk about is motherfucking Rape Squad, or as it's also known, Active Vengeance.
Got it.
This film. What happened? Did you just get this like in the mail or something recently?
Yeah, I got like a bootleg.
Okay. Fuck! Did you watch Hollywood 90028 or 26?
Oh no, not yet.
24.
I haven't watched it yet. I just got it in the mail the other day.
All right. Well, we'll have to talk about that one next time. I actually rewatched that recently, and I didn't like it as much as I did the first time. But I think that the copy that I watched most recently was absolutely horrible. One of the things that I liked about it was the not the quality of it, but just it looked, obviously it's shot on 16 millimeter, but it's like a good restoration. The one that I watched recently looked like dog shit. So like it's just ugly to look at. Anyways, whatever. We'll talk about that one some other time. But Rape Squad, which is the much better title for this film. Is I actually had a great time watching this film. I'm not going to say it was a like a really good film. Probably the worst film of the three that we've talked about today. But
Right.
But at the same time, I was gripped the entire way through. That sometimes these movies of this era of this subject matter can get kind of like repetitive, and this one actually did. But there was enough variety. It also like it kind of has like a reverse, like a reversed structure of I Spit on Your Grave, where there's just a lot of, there's not one rape happening, there's kind of a lot of rapes happening, and they're all being perpetrated by this one guy, and instead of it being one woman who's getting raped and then getting her revenge on a bunch of people, it's one rapist and then a group of girls, and he's raping them, and
With the one exception of that one guy that they remember there was a girl who was like, there's this dude who raped me, can you help me out? And they're like, sure, we'll help you out. And so they put aside their mission to capture the evil hockey mask rapist and help this girl out with her rapist.
well, he's an obscene phone caller, is what he is, right?
I don't remember him doing it obscene. He runs some sort of bar. They go to the bar. The girl kind of like seduces him and so he brings her back to his place.
Okay, yeah.
And so then he's kind of like, hey, come on, let's get with it. And she's like, oh, I thought you were going to show me a movie. You said you're going to show me a movie. He's like, well, I don't have a movie. Let's fuck.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, if there's no movie, I'm leaving. And he's like, oh, no, you don't. And then, a struggle ensues. And then all the rape squad comes in and beats the shit out of the guy. There's one particular lady who's like a kung fu expert.
Yeah, she looks like sort of Joan Rivers.
And and they tie the guy to the bed, and they pour something on his balls. I'm not really sure what it is.
they pour like blue dye, purple dye on his balls and his dick. So
is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, it says sulfuric acid on the cup, and then she dumps it on his dick, and he's like,
The copy I had, it was blurry. I couldn't even read what it said.
Oh, really? The version the version I have is pretty nice actually, but in any case, they fool him into thinking that they've poured sulfuric acid on his penis, but in fact they've just dyed it blue, and then they're like, yeah, it's going to last for 6 months, so that you're going to, anytime that one of our girls says there's a guy with a blue cock, I don't understand really what their plan is, but but the idea is kind of like, like when you pull the alarm at your high school and it sprays like purple dye in your hands so that they know. But
like in Good Time when they get the paint blown in their face from the money stolen from the bank.
Right, exactly.
That was probably my favorite moment of the movie is like beating that guy up and tearing his house apart.
Yeah. Well, what happens is I think that you may be conflating two scenes because they're just out. That scene is just they're out at a bar and they're fucking dancing and whatever, just being young 20-year-olds, 20-somethings, and then the one guy is just sitting with his homie, and he's like, that girl in the blue dress, she is sensational. And then he's like,
right,
I'm gonna go say hi. So he goes over and he starts dancing with her. Like it's not sort of like a honeypot operation. She's just dancing.
No, they're like, remember the scene prior to that where they're like all in a hot tub and they're all talking about like all they're talking about like they're making the rape squad or whatever, and then some girl like leans in and she says, hey, I just overheard you guys talking about rape. Well, I was raped, and this guy at this club, he raped me, and can you help me? And they were like, yeah, we'll help you. And then they cut to the bar, and they're all at the bar, and they were like that. They're involved in this is like a whole like stakeout. They're all planning it.
Well, then there's two moments like that because there's another instance where some other woman, I thought it was that because I remember the hot tub scene. That woman comes up and says that there's some guy who's been calling, like making obscene phone calls. And then they end up going and confronting the guy. Do you remember this part? He's like a big fat guy, and they confront him in the street. And it's
oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's fucking, I think that was like Seinfeld's dad.
Really? It's Jerry, not Jerry Stiller, but Seinfeld's dad. Damn.
Yeah, not George Costanza's dad, but I think it was Seinfeld's dad.
Oh shit. Yeah. But yeah, he's fat, and they're like, if you ever, what do they threaten him with? They threaten him with something. The two times that they catch a guy, they always do something really stupid and very like, like just sort of a silly kind of resolution. Like they pour ink on a guy's dick. I mean, of course, they trash his apartment, and they also throw him. Right. The best part is when they throw him into his beer can pyramid. He has
BEERAMID.
He has a BEERAMID in his kitchen, and it's like
I forgot about that.
It's like beer cans. Like all I'm thinking of is just some fucking poor stagehand having to put that together. It's like going through recycling bins and shit, just having to put together this
unless like that was just like somebody's house and that was already there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
we can use this BEERAMID that you have.
Yeah, well, we have a BEERAMID in the kitchen, director. Do you want us to move that? No, use it.
Because it didn't really seem like in his character to have a BEERAMID. He seemed a pretty sophisticated guy.
Yeah.
So to like bring that lady back to his apartment and and there's like a BEERAMID in the kitchen and nobody says anything about the BEERAMID.
That's the kind of guy he is, man. He's like a Bryan Adams, 18 till I die.
When they knocked over the BEERAMID, they like cut to him like, no.
Yeah. Oh God, I spent months drinking all those beers.
I'll never rape again.
Yeah, I've learned
my lesson.
But that part was pretty good. There's also that part too, where where those two guys. I mean, there are these sort of heavy-handed parts where the movie is trying to sort of get points to sort of defend itself against just being completely exploitational and it's entirely here just for men, just to be kind of like, all right, when are we going to see the next rape, or when are we going to see the next part where this guy comes in and fucking humiliates this girl, and there's that part where that girl's putting flyers on under windshield wipers, like in the parking lot, and these two guys are like, hey, what are those for, darling? You got a nice ass. What are those flowers for? It's like, they're for rape crisis centers. It's like, hey, rape. We should rape you.
My friend's the best rapist in town.
yeah, my friend over here, he raped a girl and she loved it. Maybe you would like that as well. You like getting raped? And then she's like, you know what? I have been raped. And he's like, no, hey, wait, we're sorry. And then it's just trying to kind of expose like, hey, you should maybe, next time you're thinking of making a rape joke, you should maybe think about who you're hurting, okay? Because it's not that funny if you've been raped. So like there's some fleeting parts like that. I also like how they spend so much time, like their hangout is that fucking karate studio, that fucking YMCA karate studio, and they're just like learning how to do karate, which, as you know, comes in to be pretty handy towards the end of this film, where our rapist not double crosses, but what's the word? He turns the tables, is what I'm saying. He turns the tables on our ladies, and he manages to catch the black one and put her in what looks like a zookeeper's cage or something. Are they at like the zoo or something?
I'm thinking because there's an abandoned zoo in Griffith Park. So I'm wondering, like, if that's where that shit was filmed.
Makes sense.
I'm not sure when that zoo was abandoned, but and I don't know any other abandoned zoo in the Los Angeles area other than that. So yeah, I'm thinking like he kind of lures them to this abandoned zoo, and yeah, they just like completely fall for whatever scam he pulls on them, and that whole ending was not really satisfying. Both like his plan, the rapist's plan, seems weird and unsatisfying, and the girl's plan to resolve the situation feels kind of half-baked.
Well, just their reaction to it, it's like you guys better get in here into that cage over there and handcuff yourselves, or else I'm gonna kill her, and it's like, hurry, we better get in there and do that, and then they end up just going in and handcuffing themselves and locking the padlock, right. and then the main girl, the one who was in the blue dress earlier, she's like. I can't do it. I'm not going to let this guy do it to me ever again, And then she gets the bright idea to insult his manhood.
Yeah, that felt very weak, because then but it works. Like he's completely like, how dare you insult? I'm the best. I'm the greatest of all time. And then he's like, I'm going to come out there and show it to you. And he's like storms out of the cage, and it's like he's about to confront her, and then she's like, I don't know what, she fucking beats the shit out of him or something.
Yeah, she that's what I say. The karate comes in handy. I mean, you say like, yeah, it seems pretty weak, but it worked. I mean, yeah, it worked. It shouldn't have though. Like that's just an indication of just bad writing and sort of.
It just felt very. It felt very unsatisfying. It wasn't the showdown that I was dreaming of.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like
kind of what they do, what they do to the BEERAMID guy. Like they should have done that, but like they should have been like, okay, we did this to the BEERAMID rapist. We need to, like, how do we like build, like, how does this evolve into something bigger? Like, how do we get better than this? And yeah, they don't really give you that. And that was,
what did they do? Like the end of Death Proof, the Quentin Tarantino Death Proof thing with Kurt Russell, and where they pull that guy out of the car and they like they just beat him up in the street or in the road
Yeah.
or whatever. Like, I mean, that kind of thing where they're just like stomping on his balls and breaking his arm
It's
and whatever, all that
another
kind of crap.
disappointing film.
Yeah, I agree. I remember I really liked it when it first came out, and then I saw it later and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is, just all of this dialogue, Quentin Tarantino, like just showing us all how, how much he knows how to talk like a black woman, like that's just what, like all of everything that's being said in that film, all I'm imagining is just Quentin Tarantino like saying it to himself in the mirror and just being kind of like, this is absolutely unacceptable.
Like I
Cringeworthy.
remember when I saw that in the theater and feeling like, this is like so ponderous, just like all the talking, so much talking and trying to like sell us on like, oh, these are like the coolest girls that ever fucking lived. It's
Yeah,
so
exactly.
cool. Everything they're saying is cool. And when Kurt Russell comes in, it's just like a fucking breath of fresh air. You're just like, oh, thank God. He's here.
Yeah.
He's going to fucking save the day. And when he's on screen, it's just like, it's great. Like, he's great. He's such a huge personality, and his charisma eclipses everyone else in the film. And then when he's gone and they restart with a whole new group of girls, you're just sort of like, shit, here we go. We're like back to the start. Like, it's almost like when you're playing a video game, you almost get to the fucking, to kill the boss, and then you get killed, and then you have to go back to the beginning and you have to start all over again. That's what fucking Death Proof feels like.
Yep. The I mean, when I first saw it, I just totally ate it all up. But like I was supposed to. But then when I kind of like got a little older and I watched it, I was just like, this is really, really. None of this I can take seriously, and nothing that's being said here is cool. It's like how you watch True Romance. We were talking about this before this about how, wouldn't it be nice if there was like some like lightly used prostitute who would fall in love with me for my stupid nerdy obsessions like Elvis and kung fu movies, like, oh my God, I love kung fu movies too. Have you seen Enter the Dragon? It's like this hot babe. It's like this. It's just you can just see Quentin Tarantino just fucking in his little greasy penis fucking jerking it off from like just when you watch these fucking movies in your mind's eye, and it's just unacceptable. I mean. He's done some really great stuff, obviously, but like
I mean, there's definitely I do like his films for the most part, but that one was a very disappointing one.
Yeah. Let's just make that clear. Anyways, so the movie that's, I mean, in general, like sort of in summation, fucking Rape Squad,
And also like the before you summarize. The whole issue with him, he's got the orange jumpsuit and the hockey mask on, and there seemed to be like this feeling of like, oh, who is this? Who is the rapist? There were certain moments, like there was a moment in the police station where there was this cop that came up and sort of was like, hey, what's going on? Oh, nothing. Like, okay, bye. Like, it was just like a momentary thing, and I was just kind of like, oh, is that him? Like, is it like you kind like they kind of set it up in a way where you're thinking like, oh, this is like somebody who's lurking about, who's like part of the story. Maybe it's her. Maybe it's like the Roach Coach girl's boyfriend with the big newsy cap, or like it's like somebody. It's somebody who's part of the movie that that's why his face is covered up. But then like it's almost like halfway through the movie they just kind of throw in the towel and they're just like, you know what? Who gives a shit who it is? Just like let's show everybody who it is, and then you see who it is, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess it's that guy. Like, why did we have to hide his face in the first place? Like, who cares?
Right. Yeah, like they spend a lot of time like when he's at the beach, like not showing his face, shooting him from behind, only showing his hair. Like, they're really trying to keep his identity a secret, and it's just like, and eventually they just give up. They just decide, oh, you know what, this actually isn't important. It's so funny though that there's that part in the police station where the guy brings in three or four like guys in jumpsuits with hockey masks, and it's just like, and they're like, all right, say the
doing
line,
like
It's
a lineup.
Fuck you. Yeah, fuck you, bitch, I'm gonna rape you. And they all say that. And then like they all exit to the left. And then the detective is just like, all right, so none of those guys are the guy, but I just wanted to prove a point to you that it's gonna be really difficult to catch this guy, right? And they're just like, well, what the hell are we here for, you know? Like, I'm just like, what is this guy doing? Like it's that part, I mean, that part's hilarious. You know, I don't care who you are. That shit's hilarious. And then what else is going on? Well, yeah. Well, anyway, just in summation, the overall assessment of the movie is that this is like the epitome of a fucking a very misguided movie. You know, like the guy who made it has no idea what the fuck he's trying to say. I mean, he has no idea what he's trying to say, but but in his heart and in his gut, he just wants to make a movie with like, you know, hot bitches that get their clothes ripped off and get fucked, you know, and have a lot of them, have a variety of them. And he just wants to like make this sort of like lurid kind of like sort of sleazy movie, but there's no, you know, and if he just went down that path and just made it completely that, then, you know, we might have something. But instead he tries to sort of justify it by having these moments that are like, well, you know what, maybe you should take a look in the mirror, you know, like these kinds of these moments that are supposed to be kind of like confrontational to like the male viewer. And it's just like, no, dude, that you're not the guy to do. You're not talented enough to do that. Unfortunately, you're just some greasy guy who just wants to make this kind of like sleazy movie, but you don't actually even have the balls to go through with that all the way, you know. And you don't even need to have like big balls at that time in, you know, whenever the fuck that came out, like 1976 or something like that. Something like that. But I mean, you know, you can get away with making a movie like that. No one's going to fucking hold your feet to the coals.
It felt very much like a TV movie, except for
the nudity.
Yeah. Like there was moments where I was even thinking like, I wonder if this was like a TV movie. But then like, yeah, when you see the tits, you're like, oh, okay, this is not a TV movie.
Yeah.
But it has that vibe.
Yeah, that sort of 70s. ABC movie of the week kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And it's also usually those movies are also kind of like about an issue, you know, like about some kind of like social issue.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. So like, I mean, this one, I'm gonna give this one a 2, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm there with you.
Yeah, because although it is very entertaining, and you, I mean, I don't know, like it is entertaining, but like I would never recommend this to anybody, you know. It's not like it's not.
Oh, I totally would not. I would not tell anybody that. You got to see this. I mean, I would tell like you got to watch her Vengence. There's so many other movies that are on the same theme that I would recommend more than this one.
Yep. Well, that seems like an episode to me. All we did was talk about movies and movie related topics this time, which is great because last time we didn't do that. At all. We didn't have any kind of discussion. Well, we had a discussion about like storytelling and comic books and stuff, which I think that some people are going to enjoy. But if you came for movies, you're not going to get anything. You're just going to hear me talking about the Prince of Tides and
well, that's a movie.
Barbara Streisand's camisole that she wears while she's
some people say that's a movie.
Nick Nolte. I for one do. I think that I think I gave it 2.5. Prince of Tides. I think that's you. More than Rape Squad. Wow. Yeah, no, come on, give me a break. Prince of Tides is a better movie than Rape Squad.
I'd rather watch Rape Squad again I'd rather watch Rape Squad for the second time than Prince of Tides for the first.
Nobody's gonna think you're gay if you watch Prince of Tides. You're afraid you're gonna like it. That's your problem. You're afraid.
That's totally it. Like that's, you know, like if I sucked a dick, I'm afraid to suck a dick because I'm afraid I'd get addicted.
You're gonna get addicted to what the dick did. I didn't make that up. I think that's an NWA line. But I think we covered a lot of stuff, and we definitely made up for the last one.
Okay.
Yep. All right, I'm going to stop recording. See you later.
All right.
Bye.
All right, me too.